Our area is home to a special group of individuals who are trailblazers, innovators, and difference makers. We call those movers and shakers. Tonight, KNWA Today's Chris Fry highlights a River Valley mayor whose recent efforts were a first for the city of Fort Smith in the most symbolic of ways.
Just listening, Chris, that's what people want.
Mayor George McGill has your attention.
They want someone to share their story with.
Whether it's telling a great story,
Oftentimes, if you listen long enough, they'll solve their own problem.
or helping his neighbor.
It was always a good place to live, even during the times when I was a kid.
He's Fort Smith to the core.
I refer to Fort Smith as her because I was born here.
The son of a minister and social worker, McGill's heart was always for service and community.
Our culture was one of getting out among the people.
In spite of growing up in the segregated South, racial strife was rarely an issue.
We lived a very comfortable life, even though we didn't have much. We lived a storybook kind of life.
He attended the former Lincoln High School, an all-black school in Fort Smith. Despite the lack of resources, education was firmly rooted in every student who attended.
The culture was one of excellence. That was ingrained in the students. Everything was driven around the word excellence.
McGill graduated from the University of Arkansas in business administration. He used that knowledge to start his own company, McGill Insurance, which lasted 30 years. But as success grew in the late 70s, a bigger plan was taking shape. And it was an old friend, former state politician Carol Willis, that persuaded him to try something new.
Carol called me up and asked if I would get involved in the campaigns of Bill Clinton. At that time, I had no interest in politics. He said, but we'll have fun. We'll travel the state.
After helping Clinton win the governorship and then the presidency, McGill had a chance to serve in D.C. on Clinton's cabinet. Instead, he opted to make a bigger impact back home.
Members of the community began to approach me about serving in the Arkansas legislature. At the time, I was enjoying my retirement. They put up a good case for me going to Little Rock.
And in his first try, he was elected to the Arkansas House of Representatives, serving 3 terms. But once again, Fort Smith called McGill back home to fulfill a bigger purpose.
Will I be able to help Fort Smith from this position?
That question would be answered in a special election in August of 2018, when McGill was elected the city's first African-American mayor.
When it was finally settled, I looked out and saw a mosaic, most beautiful sight I'd ever seen. The African community was in the room, the Asian community, the Latino community, my white friends and neighbors, they were all there saying we're ready for change.
In a book full of life and adventure, a new chapter is ready to be written for George McGill.
And I firmly believe that my role has been bringing people together where we can have a common sense discussion about things that are important to all of us.
While Mayor McGill found success as a business owner and state politician, he also served in the United States Army, saying his time gave him the courage and strength to pursue his dreams at the highest level. For more features from the Movers and Shakers series, visit our website, nwahomepage.com.